Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, wait, what you mean? Wrong show? That's the wrong show? Okay, wait, hey guys, it's Tuesday. It's an amazing day at the Connected Corner, and I am so excited to be here with you. I know I freaked y'all out a little bit. You thought I didn't know where I was? I know it's Tuesday. I know it's Tuesday night, and this is the Connected Corner. I'm your girl, Tori Rose, and I am just honored to be here with you guys tonight. Our amazing co-host, Kiana B. Jones, will be jumping in and out of the comments, but she technically has the day off, so I hope she's getting some rest and enjoying her day off. She's one of the hardest working, busiest bees I know. B-E. Don't come for me. Anyway, we have an amazing night tonight. I'm so honored and excited to be joined by this woman of God, this amazing girl, this sister, this lady. I've been waiting to have an opportunity to really interview her and to hear from her and to find out what she is doing. So before we get started, I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements. I want to give some shout outs to some people who are in the community doing some things. And let me see. First and foremost, I want to say congrats to Derek Whiting. And I say his name wrong all the times. He was Derek Johnson, changed his name, so I've been joking him. But Derek is a part of the Flowers Whiting Initiative, and he had a turkey giveaway today. They gave away clothes and shoes and food, and Derek did his thing. So we want to give you a Connected Corner round of applause on that. If you're not following the Flowers Whiting Initiative, please look them up on Instagram and Facebook. And you can find Derek at DerrickWhiting on Facebook. And so I want to give him a shout out. I also want to give a shout out to every community leader, community advocate, activist who has been standing in the gap, meeting the needs of the community, and really showing up in this time of the pandemic. I give you a round of applause as well. And so congratulations to just the community for keeping things moving forward in this COVID crisis. So, I also want to say, hey, girl, to our producer, Meech from Nick of Time Entertainment. Hey, girl. If you're not following Nick of Time Media, please do so. You can see them and find them on YouTube as well as Instagram. And if you have not subscribed yet to the Connected Corner, what you waiting for? Come on and join us at the Connected Corner. Go to YouTube, hit subscribe at the Connected Corner. Share our videos. You can watch us on the replay. Let us know what you think. If it's something funny, let us know you thought it was funny. Also, check us out every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So that's all the business stuff. I check. Now I get to talk to my sister. I get to talk to my sister. I'm so excited. Okay, so Tasha, are you with us?
I am. How are you today?
Hey, amazing. I'm so excited. I know that we had to kind of coordinate it with each other's schedules, and I'm just excited to have you here. Let me tell the people a little bit about who you are. So you are Miss Tasha Jones. Sometimes you're also Miss Tasha when you're naughty, and Tasha Parker. You are educator. You're in the health field. You are definitely going to help us continue our discussion on health and education. You are, let me think, what else? Oh, an advocate, a mom of an amazing niece of mine. And you have a Facebook group called Talk Sis, which I love because it focuses on mental health awareness. It really is not the traditional like surface level group. You talk about some real stuff. You ask some real questions like, hey, how you doing today? Like, no, for real. How are you? And I appreciate that. So welcome to the Connected Corner, Miss Tasha Jones. Tasha, if you nasty. Tasha Parker. Hey, boo.
Hey.
So Tasha,
Only
tell
my
us a bit
sister.
about
Only my
yourself.
sister.
Is there something I missed in your bio? I mean, no, I could talk about just all of the things that you've done for hours. So is there anything that I've forgotten that you want to tell the world about yourself?
No, I think you summed it up. I'm on a crusade to remove stigma from mental health. That is my goal. I think that in our community, mental health, it means that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It means that you have a chemical imbalance. And I think how the world views mental health is so sad, and definitely in our community. When you mention going to see a therapist, oh, I'm not doing that. Black people don't talk to a therapist. Yes, they do. They talk to a therapist, they pray, and they take their medicine if need be. And so I'm on a crusade to reduce stigma and to let people know that it is okay if you are having a problem and that you need to take medication.
I love it. I love it. Why mental health? Of all of the different health, I know you have a relationship and you've been employed by the health departments and different things, but why mental health?
I think it is so important. I even have dealt with it myself. So it has become, it used to be something painful. I used to be ashamed about. And then one day God just woke me up and was like, this is what you need to do. And I have a passion to help people. I have a passion to help women. I came up with the group Talk This, and it was birthed like a year ago. I went to Sarah Jakes Roberts. She came to Baltimore. She was at New Psalmist. And one of the sisters that I went with, she was like, Tasha, that's going to be you. I was like, no, it's not. And it was literally a day to the year that I launched Talk Sis this year. And I,
Wow.
say stuff, but it has really been an amazing journey.
Yeah, just watching you flourish throughout the platform. I think that, and I shared this last night with a group of people, that COVID has given those of us that have an eye to see and an ear to hear God an opportunity to really like press through our own fears. Do you find that during this time, the discussions of mental health are needed much more, especially in like the virtual environments?
Yes, our kids are home. Um, we're home. We're used to going to work. We're used to being around people. Some people have been locked down since March. Some people have lost their jobs. Even at work, it's scary. We've lost coworkers who, died in the health department because they tested positive for COVID. It's really been a touchy situation. And even more now, I think that people have to be honest about where they are. Of course, the seasons have changed where it was light all day and now it gets dark early. And so there's not that much sunlight. And a lot of people suffer from depression in the winter months.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, and I've been honest about just having affective mood disorder and dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression. And it's funny because last night I was talking to a friend. My friend is from Philly, and she said, we were just talking, and she said, well, wait, roll it back. Like, are you hypothetically saying this about yourself, or is this true? I said, no. There's no hypothetical when you talk about, wellness and mental health and issues. No, this is really what I deal with and struggle with. And she paused for a second, and I said, oh, let me catch you up, because I'm not the textbook look of what mental health, people who are struggling with mental health look like in the stigma, right? In the stigmatized mind and the stereotypes. You
Mhm.
can't have a successful business. You can't be in the public eye. You do all the things with the mental health issues that you deal with. How is that possible? How does Tori Rose, the public speaker, the connector, how does she have anxiety? Every time we see her, she's, public facing. So I want to toss that to you. Do you find that that is a part of the stigma that people say, oh, it's nothing wrong with her. She couldn't be a public person, or, that's not what mental health issues look like. Do you find that to be a part of the stigma?
It's a big part of the stigma because a person who goes to work, who's successful, who's a mother, who's an aunt, who's a pastor, who's a teacher, whatever role that person plays, we hold them at a higher standard and say, oh, they don't get stressed out, they don't get depressed, they're not lonely. Because I think the other part to it is when we show up, we put like this face on. And just like you just
Yeah.
said, well, I'm Tori on the connector. Oh, she can't be depressed. She can't be sad. But behind closed doors, you deal with your mental health and your wellness just like everybody else, just like pastors do. I
Yes.
mean, I remember one time it was a lot of pastors that they was just, we found article after article where they were checking out. They were really taking their lives. And these are people who are responsible
Mm-hmm.
for authority. So how can the pastor
Mm-hmm.
be if nobody checks on
Yeah.
the pastor and nobody knows what the symptoms look like? Just because somebody shows up every day, that doesn't necessarily mean it ain't something going on up here. And I just think it's important to do self-awareness checks. Check your surroundings. How are you?
Mm-hmm.
And be
Yep.
honest.
Yep. Yep.
You have to really be
The
honest. I'm
wellness.
not having a good today.
Mhm. Yeah. And being okay with that, right? I love that you pointed out the pastors because I remember reaching out to some of my friends, my pastor friends, and saying, are you okay? Like, are you really, really okay? You know, because there was an increase um, in the suicides that were happening and men and women, you know, who are called to preach and pastor. And I'm not even going to say an increase. I'm going to say it was an increase in media attention because we don't know what's been happening. You know, that's been one of those things we don't talk about how many people are killing themselves in the religious world. You know, I know personally, I cried like a baby when Robin Williams killed himself because I just could not understand how someone who had been so happy, you know, like who brought joy to so many people, why he felt like that was the only option. And it wasn't until I started having my own episodes of, you know, self doubt and questioning my own existence and my own purpose. And I'm like, oh, that's how this happened. Gotcha. You know, and so for anyone that's listening out there, Tasha, what do you suggest they do? So you said like be honest, but what if you just can't? What if you don't know the words? Like where would one start?
Anytime that you feel sad that you might even attempt or you're thinking about killing yourself, please call the crisis center. Please dial 211 and they will connect you to the Baltimore Crisis Center and someone will talk to you. Someone will walk you through the steps of what's going on, what does that look like, even just checking how are you feeling. That's the first thing. And don't be shameful or suffer in silence where you've been dealing with this for so long that you're past somebody trying to talk you down, you're at your end and then you take your life.
And shout out to Be Cry, shout out to Baltimore. We were able to host, along with 211 Society, a Tasha, say that last second sentence again.
To call Baltimore Crisis Center.
Yes, yes. So and give
Yeah,
us
you
the
can
number
call
once
Baltimore
again.
Crisis Center. You can dial 211 and they will connect you to the Baltimore Crisis Center.
Yes, thank you. And I just was again saying about the Baltimore crisis. Anybody and everybody. My cousin's husband just recently passed away, and he had worked with them. But anybody and everybody is welcome to get resources from there. I know that the that you mentioned in Black communities that oftentimes goes back to even slavery, right? When we were seen as a good, a resource, well, didn't want to be a damaged good, right? Nobody wants to be seen as damaged goods. And I've even heard women in my life coaching and my classes and different sessions that I've had who have said, oh, there's something wrong with me, damaged. So where do you think that concept or that idea of being damaged comes from?
Who I kind of like talked about this topic at Talk Sis over the last couple of weeks. Sometimes it's the trauma of growing up. It's the trauma that no one ever validated them. It's the trauma of if my marriage wasn't successful the first time, then I'm damaged goods. I don't deserve to be married again. Sometimes it's just things that happen in life that we take on and we own it. So if
Mm-hmm.
I had abandonment as a young lady and now I'm an adult, I wear that. I wear it on my chest.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, nobody's
Mm-hmm.
gonna love me. Nobody looks at me like, why would you want to talk to me? What do you see? And so
Yeah.
if they self-value, then that's how it comes with the self-image. And I think
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes
Mm-hmm.
we bury trauma and we don't really deal with it in our community. And it comes out when we have children, and it kind of goes from cycle to cycle if no one ever talks about it. And I know one thing that the generation I came from, we don't talk, whatever happened in my house, stay in my house. And so when you have
Mm-hmm.
kids, it's like those things that if you don't deal with it, it's like you repeat that whole horrible cycle all over again. And it can be really damaging.
Yep. Yep. Most certainly. Most certainly. I think our household was like that to a certain degree as well. I know my grandfather was an extremely private person who felt that we always had to be at a different measure. And so it didn't matter if you had 1 foot, one eye, and one ear, you were still getting up and presenting yourself wholly to the world. And not wholly meaning HOLE, but wholly as a whole person, WHOLE. And when I look back over just my life, the detriment that having to be strong all the time has created in some of my personal relationships and things like that has even been hard for me in like this Corona COVID time. And so I'm going to take a pause really quickly. I'm going to tell you guys again, please follow us on YouTube at The Connected Corner. Hit share, like, catch us on the replay. If you have a comment about what we're saying at this point of the segment, even if you're watching it on the replay, do us a favor and drop your comments right in the comments. If you're feeling it or you're feeling maybe a little depressed or you feeling like checking out because life is just too stressful right now, please get some help. Reach out to the
Yeah.
professionals at the Baltimore Crisis Center. We'll be sure to drop that number in the comments. And we'll also asking you to dial 211. Reach out to myself or Tasha. We'll drop our information as well because we want to make sure that our sisters, our brothers are healthy, safe, and well. And so going back to what I was saying about the household stigmas and traumas, I saw a meme that said extreme independence is a sign of trauma. What do you think about that, Tasha? People were like extremely independent, always have to be the people to get it. I got it, can't accept help. You think that's a traumatic response to being raised in a certain way?
It can be based off sometimes when my mom was a single mother. So for the longest, I was like, I just need to be in control. I didn't. My dad really wasn't there, so I did everything. I did the woman's job. I did the man's job. I did everything. I was in control of everything. And I think the unfortunate part about that is because we take on both roles and we're really not supposed to, it can affect when we go into relationships. And sometimes it can be trauma, depending on how you look at it. Well, was your parent beat up on? Was it a domestic violence situation? Did you have abandonment issues?
Mm-hmm.
Um, was your mother verbally abusive? Were they mentally abusive? All of that. Was it physically abusive?
Mm-hmm.
So certain things does play a role, but sometimes you just have to take a seat back and like just look over some of the hard times and just kind of like write them down. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what happened here? And
Mm-hmm.
what part did I play in it? And sometimes we like to play the victim and we don't want to get to what part we played.
Yeah, yeah, very good points. Very good points. Now let's pivot that. So we're in time of isolation, many of us in the pandemic, quarantine, sickness, and now holiday. How do we balance all of those things? So teaching your kids at home, being at home, potentially being sick, and now
Mhm.
dealing with that season. What do you think someone should do, or how do you focus on having healthy mental health during this time and season?
So I made a post, I think today or yesterday, and the post kind of talked about 10 steps on how to be mentally strong or mentally healthy. Sometimes just counting your
Mm-hmm.
blessings. If you are able to work from home, you are blessed and you still getting a paycheck and you still have a roof over your head. Versus somebody who lost their job, they stuck at home, and they're depressed. Sometimes just
Mm-hmm.
going, if you have a porch, going for a walk, getting a little bit of fresh air when the sun is out, let that sun kind of take your hot chocolate, take your coffee, take a walk. I think those things are important when you are used to going out. And when you have kids, like the kids aren't used to this. So it's even more important that we check on how our kids are doing because they're at the computer 8 hours a day.
Yep.
And that's a long
Yep.
time just to have
I'm,
someone sitting there.
I'm trying to see if I can find your post. Because if you could give us all 10 of those, let me see if I can find it. Are you able to maybe pull it up? If you
I
can
am.
find the 10, I would love to hear what all 10. Yeah, so while you're pulling it up, I mean, I just love it. Again, you can connect to Tasha as Latasha Jones on Facebook. If you're not already connected to Talk Sis, get connected to Talk Sis, because what I've identified is so talking, I understand, is of course releasing, but talking is also related to my gift, right? So I'm gifted in this area. I'm a motivational speaker, but as soon as I'm depressed, I can't talk. I can't even put it into words. People say, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't have words. I lose that, and that's the thing that the enemy will come against. Being able to go to a safe place and be told, talk, sis, with no judgment and no qualms. That's a safe place. That's a place I want to be a part of. I want to be a member of. So have you found it, Tosh?
I did. So it's actually called
Okay.
10 Signs You're Doing Well in Life. And this was actually my terrific Tuesday encouragement on today. So, number one, you have a roof over your head. Number two, you ate today. Number three, you have a good heart. Number four, you wish good for others. Number five, you have clean water.
Mm.
Number six, you strive to be better. Number seven, someone cares for you. Number eight, you have clean clothes. Number nine, you have a dream. And number 10, you're breathing.
Wow. 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 Where can we get a copy of those? On which page?
This is on my Talksys page.
Talk Sis. And so if someone's on Facebook, they type in Talk Sis, is it like join the group for them to become a part of the group?
Yep, they hit join and then I'll approve it and they're in the community.
Awesome. Awesome. And so I'm going to tell you one of the ones that I loved. And I realize I'm going to actually love it now on the page, but I copied it. It's in my favorites now on my phone. It says, your healing is about you. It doesn't need a stamp of approval. Don't worry about how long it takes or how ugly it may seem. It's about you. People who are stuck, who are not able to heal, because a lot of times healing comes from relationships, right? Coming outside of their homes, being physically in church, being physically at work, being physically in school. What happens, or what advice do you give to those people who feel like they're stuck in their healing because they don't have the power of people in this season?
So what I would say to them is, I know that healing is a rough thing to go through. You take one day at a time. You take 1 minute at a time. You take one problem at a time. And healing doesn't happen, oh, I got healed today. It's a process. And you have to go through that process at every stage. And you have to deal with it. And it's okay. You're having a bad day today. You don't feel like talking about it. You don't feel like processing it. It's okay. Don't process it. Pick it up tomorrow. It's okay. Like, I think oftentimes when people think of healing, oh, you should get over that. It don't take all that. You don't know what it took for that person to get out of bed and show and be present. You don't know what they had to deal with. And some traumas are a long thing that they cover up, and then they had a trigger, and then that trigger just magnified the problem that they never decided to deal with.
Very true. Very, very true. I used to say in some of my groups, are you stung or are you stuck? So being stung hurts, right? But being stuck stunts the process of healing and growth. And so there there have been some times, and anybody watching, you can drop below. Tell us the time you've been stung. You know, it's that relationship that ends, that you're stung. It's the job that you lose, the opportunity you didn't get, the promotion you thought was yours, the friendship that ended, the person who died. Those are like, whew, you're stung. You almost lose your breath, you know? And there's times that we've been able to pick ourselves up and move forward beyond that moment of being stung or stunned. Then there's sometimes you lose someone, you're stuck, you know, or you lose a job or an opportunity and you're stuck. And so stuck is totally different, because while you're stuck, healing often does not happen. So a question here, it says, what if you are not thinking about suicide, or if you do not have a substance abuse problem, but you just want someone to talk to about loss? Can you go to Be Cry? Can you go to Tasha? Do you go to Jesus? Where do you go? What's your answer for that one?
So my answer for that one is you can first try a grief counselor. And finding
Yeah.
someone who specializes in what you're going through. Like they have I know Roberta's House has programs tailored to
Mm-hmm.
every situation. Moms who've lost kids to street violence, moms who've lost babies, dads who weren't in a house, you know. So finding a therapist that specializes in your problem is so crucial. That's just like they have therapists that
Yeah.
specialize in trauma, where they are trained professionals to help you get through and help you deal with that trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And big shout out to the Roberta House. Our cousin Tracy was on the show last week, and she even mentioned that. She said, you know, you need someone that specialized in grief. And the Roberta House was recommended then. I know that I'm not at all a grief counselor. I don't, confess to be one. I'm someone who has lost a lot of loved ones. And so I have grieved. I am grieving. I understand grief. And in my own personal walk through, coaching and counseling and mentoring, the one thing I learned was not to have the Oprah syndrome, right? And Oprah syndrome is when it says, oh, my dog died. You say, girl, me too. Or, I lost my child. My child was murdered. And say, oh, I know what you're going through. I learned very early on in my professional career to be honest and say, I have no idea what that feels like. You know, I have a friend recently, her mom died during COVID and all of that. And she was her mother's primary caregiver. And she and I spoke just recently, about a week or so ago. And I said to her, my heart breaks for you. I can't imagine what you're going through. And she said, Tori, thank you so much for saying that, versus I understand when you have both of your parents. I don't understand what it's like to have lost my mom. You understand? And so sometimes people are turned off from even getting help if they're with someone who has Oprah syndrome, because it's like, oh, so I stubbed my toe, you stubbed your toe. Now you feel like you're in competition. You know, who's hurt the most type of competition. And so how do you combat that? Like when people come to you, how do you have empathy and also sympathy for where they are without having the Oprah syndrome?
I always offer my condolences. I never want someone to
Yeah.
think that I don't care or I don't understand. I can sympathize with you and I can be even empathetic for you. But at the same time, I don't know what it's like. I
Yeah.
don't know what that relationship was. And
Yeah.
so people just have
Yeah.
to be careful with the words that they say in certain situations. I just think that
Most
part is
certainly.
important. It's definitely important.
Mm-hmm. Most certainly, most certainly. So we're going to open the phones up for some questions. It's about 8:30. I'll give you the guys the number, and the number will also be up on the. We want to hear from you. If you have questions for Tasha, you have questions for Tori, you have questions like, where is Kiana? I told y'all, mind your business. She works so hard. She deserves a day. And so this is the Connected Corner. You guys can catch us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are appreciative of the people who are watching us from across the people who are tuning in other time zones. So thank you so much to family and friends and new connections. And so the number is 443-687-7707. Go ahead and give us a call. Let us know how you're dealing with your mental health. And even we're about to go into a segment, talk a little bit about education. We're always dropping the education piece. Tasha's a mom. I'm a mom. Tasha, what have you noticed, even when it comes to your own family, household, children, with the pandemic? Like, how are they mentally?
Frustrated. I want to go to school. I want to see my
Yeah.
friends. I want to see my teachers. Um, my child is a social butterfly. She's a hugger.
Yes, she.
She hugs people. And so this has really been a hard transition for her. Um,
Yeah.
Things that they were supposed to do in school, they haven't been able to do. So working from home and, trying to help her as best as I can, it has been
You said, what grade is she in? Tasha, one more time. What grade is she in? I think we're having a minor technical difficulty. And so we are going to get reconnected to our guests. If you guys want to call in, please do so. The number is 443-687-7707. We're the Connected Corner. I didn't do my smash, connect with us on YouTube. So let me do that now. Go to YouTube, www.youtube.com, put in the search bar, The Connected Corner, and subscribe, smash, and follow us. Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Connected Corner. And so please be sure to help us reach people with news and resources you can actually use. So in this segment, we have talked about the Roberta's House. We talked about the Baltimore Crisis Hotline and 211, really just identifying opportunities to have gratitude, even as you the pandemic and having children at home and dealing with virtual learning, and also now approaching this holiday season. We know that people are in different mental states, right? Some people are happy and excited. Some people are dealing with grief and loss. We want to make sure our family members are healthy, are happy, and they feel the support that they need. So guys, there's NAMI, NAMI. You can go to NAMI on the website, on Facebook. And that's the National Alliance of Mental Health, or mental, I think it's mental health, and NAMI. Don't judge me, it's late. And so we want to make sure that you have all of the support that you have. And I want to take another opportunity to shout out some sponsors. One of the people that we just love to talk about on our show is Marlo Hargrove with the FACE organization, understanding that ex-offenders oftentimes are coming home and they're trying to get readjusted. They're trying to get back into the work world and workforce. And even with this pandemic, it has not been easy for them. And so we want to make sure that we're giving Marlo Hargrove and the FACE organization a shout out, that we are letting them know that we're still supporting them, that we're sending help their way. We also want to invite you again to call in. The number is 443-687-7707. If you have any questions, if you want to share your personal tips are making yourself mentally whole and mentally well. We also want to give a shout out to Muddy Tea, which is a very good tea. So let me tell you about Muddy Tea. Jamal McFadden Esquire at Facebook. You can go to HH Muddy Tea, or you can go to his website, which is www.hhmuddytea.com. We had these teas for the first time over the summer. Baby, they mix well with everything, if you understand what I'm saying. And I just love his cute little logo. So check out Muddy Teas. We want to give them a shout out. We also want to give a shout out to Mia of Luxury Mink Eyelash Extensions, and she is at Adore Minks. And if you guys notice, I kind of look like a raccoon, little eyelashless raccoon. This is my natural face for the holiday season. But Mia is at 2116 North Charles Street, and you can check her out on Instagram at Thick Body Mia. Let me spell it for you. THICKK Mia with 2 A's. So we're excited about our sponsors, and we are excited. So some things I'm gonna share, some things I ain't, but I'm gonna tell you something that I've done that's helped with my mental health. I've been selling old furniture. Decluttering, y'all. Decluttering. Let me tell you what it does. So, selling old furniture is interesting because you start to have like nostalgic moments and you think about where you were, maybe who you were dating or who you were married to, or where you were in your life when you got this furniture. But then it helps you revalue that furniture, right? You'll say, wow, I wonder how much for. So if it's something that you spent $700 on, you start to say, like, could I get $300 for this? Could I get $400? And you'll find it very interesting the value you put on certain material things. Then you get on Marketplace and you actually interact with strangers. Crazy. Who wants to do that? But through this process, I have found it to be extremely therapeutic. So find some things in your home that you know it's time to let go of. The free space is going to help you declutter your mind. For those with anxiety who even maybe deal with depression or have fears of letting go, selling your furniture actually helps you with your mental health. I know somebody's like, girl, how? I'm telling you. I've sold tables. I've sold armoires. I had a baker's rack that my son's father and I bought for an apartment almost 10, 12 years ago. I didn't realize that I was carrying that baker's rack with me everywhere I went, right? So literally, if I moved, the baker came with me. And having to go through that process of unpacking, like, where was I when I brought it? Why is it important to keep it? Didn't mean I wanted him. No, I don't want him. We're good, but I don't want him. Y'all can tell him that. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear me say I don't want him. But I liked the period of time we were in when I purchased that item. Look at that mental health. And so having the opportunity to go back and really like unpack. Once I sold it, I was so proud of myself. I felt less cluttered, which helped with my mental health. And so I'm going to take a moment and see if we have a caller, see if our guest is back. Tasha, are you back?
I am.
Can you hear me? Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. I was just giving a shout out. Oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine. I was just giving a shout out to some of our guests. Some of our sponsors and decluttering. We actually have a phone call. So I'm going to see who this is. Caller. While we're getting the caller set up, I just want, again, to acknowledge Nick of Time Media. Guys, follow our producer in the studio at Nick of Time Media on Instagram and Facebook and get connected. Caller, are you with us? Okay, no worries. If you want to call in, the number is 443-687-7707. So, Tasha, before we got disconnected, you were sharing with us about my beautiful baby niece, Trin, and how she's frustrated and feeling a little overwhelmed. Can you share with us what grade she's in?
She's in a 5th grade. Go to the 6th grade.
5th. And she does give the best hugs. And I know for me, the hardest part of this is not being able to hug on my baby. So please give my baby a hug for me. This COVID and having to put space, between people, it's been extremely hard. What would you say to any moms and dads that may be listening who are just feeling like, can we just be done with it all? School virtually, grades, class, homework, advice or tips you would give to them?
Um, your child's mental health is so important.
Your child's mental health is so important.
Please take the time to see where they are. Um, because the pressure of school and the pressure of making good grades and the pressure of showing up, all of that is a lot for children to endure. It's one thing going into a building, but now the pressure is even on because if my mom doesn't know how to use the computer, then there's a barrier. And if no one is home with me and they don't know, then that's another barrier, and I think that sometimes for me, I felt like I needed to go back to school again. The math, the reading, the way that they were teaching them that common core learning, I was about to have a meltdown last school year. It was just a lot. But just take the time, just breathe. Get to know the people in your children's school. Get to really know the teachers, and they can help you and walk you through some of the challenges. Or even if you have a friend, don't be ashamed if you can't read or write. I will say that. I think that sometimes in our community, no one gets help because I don't want to tell nobody that I can't read or I can't write. And then your child suffers.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you bring that up. 2 years ago, when my cousin and I decided to start We Read, We Lead, the premise was to help adults who were in Baltimore City averaging between a fourth and fifth grade reading level and math level. And what we understood was people oftentimes turn to a life of crime or drugs based on the fact that they can't get a job, based on the fact that they can't read. And so there used to be this joke, a person who went to Southwestern because they say liked it, synced it, touched it. It was like everything had an extra ED. And the culture of our education system here in Baltimore City, it has gone through the ebbs and flows, right? You and I both have been educated in Baltimore City Public School. We are the examples of successful Baltimore City Public School education. But I know that you and I both know some people who have not been as fortunate. And so we started We Read, We Lead with the idea that we could help bridge the gap for adults. We could lessen nonviolent crimes. We could help people get jobs and things like that. But the premise was primarily in-person learning. And we were also operating as a bridge for individuals that gotten their GED. One of the struggles that we have had, and all of the teachers and instructors that are connected to our program, is we now don't have a virtual space to help those parents and those adults, because those parents and adults are trying to help their children, right? And there's a deficiency in the household. Oftentimes it's a technological deficiency. Maybe they don't have computers, they don't have phones. It all boils down to our city was not prepared. Our educational system is not prepared. And so I know you have a relationship with the health department. Do you think that we'll be prepared in a year? Do you think that this is a situation that now in 5 years, 10 years, do you think we'll ever get prepared and caught up to be able to stand in the gap for the parents and students the way they need it?
I'm not sure of that. And here's why. I know that the NI Pratt Library were giving kids like Wi-Fi. They were giving them access to Wi-Fi. Again, we're back on a lockdown, so I know that is going to be hard. I don't think that we will ever be ready. I hope that the school system look at this as being proactive and not reactive. I think that part is major, and I think sometimes we'll give these kids computers, and then you don't train the parents on how to use a computer, but then you want their child to show up every day. But at some point you have to teach a parent who doesn't know how to use a computer how to use a computer. Everybody doesn't have a work life. Everybody is not sitting in front of a computer. Everybody doesn't know how to use it. And so in cases like that, I think that like some of the Northwest Career Centers, places like that, I think that they are
Mm-hmm.
crucial in a community. But of course, we're on
Mm-hmm.
lockdown and it's nothing for us to do. And it's like we're just
Yeah.
moving, like, just trying to figure it out day by day. So I don't know if we'll ever
Yeah.
be prepared.
Mm. That's realism. I mean, that is definitely realism. I think that you've pointed out some amazing points, being reactive instead of proactive. I don't remember who it was the other day. I feel like all of my days are just mushed together. The only time I even come out of the house is like show nights, if that,
Mhm.
So forgive me because I don't know who it was I was talking to, but I mentioned unpreparedness. And for someone like myself who I've been trained to have, I have a background in emergency preparedness. Like you guys have heard me talking about water and stockpiling and things like that. I'm a strategist and I'm a planner. And so it's hard to live in a world system where we're always just being reactive, like no one's planning. My mind says we had a pandemic in 1918 and 1920. We should not have ever stopped preparing, right? We know that life is cyclical. Why did we stop preparing? Anyway, I digress. The comment I made the other day to the person was, we have students who we assume because they're on phones that they know technology. Our students don't know technology. They know Snapchat. They know Instagram.
They know
If you
TikTok.
ask a standard, they know TikTok. They understand how to click the camera. That is an ink of the quality of a phone or computer. If you ask a standard fourth grader who can upload a video, download a video, do a TikTok, maybe even edit, you ask that standard fourth grader to send an email. That student does not know the functionality of the email. Why? Because they haven't had to email their teachers. That's not something that school had prepared them for. It's not something that as parents, we often prepare them for at that age. We associate emails and passwords and logons to older children, doing the FAFSA. I'm sorry, FAFSA. We, Black folk, we say FAFSA. And so we don't assume that fourth graders need logins, passwords, and email addresses. We don't even think about it. And so to take a group of children across the country who have not been prepared, who have not been taught the discipline, the structure, and be like, oh, well, tomorrow, get online. You got to be in 5 different portals, 4 different passwords. You got to be on VPN. You have to make sure your Wi-Fi is connected. We lost our minds thinking that there was going to be an overwhelming amount of success in this virtual learning. We lost our minds completely. And but we got Tasha to help us get our minds back. You said we're not crazy. We just got some imbalance. So help us, sis. Talk. Talk,
Just a
sis.
little way.
So
We gonna
listen,
get everybody saved. It was just a little way.
listen, as we come down to the final few minutes of our show, I first just want to say thank you. I also want to just ask you to give a shout out to your church. I love your church. Give a shout out to your church and your pastors for me, please.
I love my CLM family. I love Pastor Antoine and Pastor Shelley Carter Burton. I love them, love them, love them. I don't know if they're on here, but they encourage me to just soar and do what God has called me to do. And they support me 100%. And I'm so thankful.
And we love
I
them.
do
They
have
are
the
brothers
number
and
to
sisters.
Baltimore Crisis.
Awesome. What's the number?
The number is 410.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Where you go? Five 7 6
Uh-huh.
5097.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead and drop that in the comments. Give it to us one more time. 410
576
576
5097.
5097. So go ahead and save it, put it in your phone. And you may not feel sad. You may not feel overwhelmed. You may be soaking your cranberries for Thursday, and that's all well, but put it in your phone because you never know who you may come across who may need that resource. Tasha, how do we find you? Give us your Instagram, your Facebook, any contact information you want to share.
My Facebook, you can find me Latasha Jones on Facebook, or you can find me at underscore talk sis on Instagram. And on Facebook page is Green Hearts Talk Sis.
Talk, sis. I want to share with you something that was that you mentioned earlier about being stigma free.
Mm-hmm.
And NAMI, I couldn't remember what the I stood for. It's the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Mm-hmm.
And they say stigma harms the 1 in 5 Americans affected by mental health conditions. It shames them into silence and prevents them from seeking help. And you can take a stigma quiz and some other things on their website. But I want to just acknowledge you because as a Black woman, as a mother, as a professional, you said I'm waging a war on the stigma. I love that. We often hear people who wage war on mental health or mental health issues and illnesses, not understanding that that's huge. Just not one person can alone, everyone's mental health issues. But one mighty woman named Latasha Jones, Parker Jones, Tasha, if you're nasty,
Don't get
she
me in
can
trouble.
wage a
My
war on
husband is watching this and he does not like Parker. He married me to change my name.
And I was waiting for you to say it because I do that all the time just to get up under his skin. It's like our thing, right? Remember when I first met him, I said, wait, are you Mr. Parkes? I'm Mr. Jones. My bad. Hey, brother. But one woman, Latasha Jones, said, I'm waging war against stigma. And sis, I thank you for just allowing us to come along with you, to be soldiers in this army, to put on our boots, to strap up and to fight alongside you, because this is something that we can do. We can change the stigmas. We can lessen the fears. We can help people break through the silence. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the Connector Corner with news and resources you can actually use, for being an amazing leader. Thank you for being a servant of the Most High God. And thank you most of all for being my sister girl. I appreciate you. And I'll give you the final word. Anything else you want to say before we
I want
disconnect?
to just tell everyone, please, Corona is real. Please wear your mask. Please wash your hands. Please get tested. Please check on the elderly, your loved ones. If you can go to the store for them, I encourage you to. And I also want to say this is not just my battle, but mental health doesn't have a face. And I think oftentimes we say that mental health doesn't look like me, but it does not have a face. It doesn't pick a person. It doesn't pick a nationality. It affects us all. So I encourage each and every one of you to not suffer in silence. Reach out for help. And in this season, check on the ones who have lost loved ones. Thanksgiving is Thursday,
Yeah.
and people often say it. If you know a good girlfriend, a good friend, just check on them. Let them know that you love them. I know people are scared to go to their houses, but just letting them know that they are loved and that you love them, especially during the holiday seasons, and that they're not alone.
Wonderful, wonderful advice. And I'm going to just go ahead and say now, y'all, my anxiety is flaring up about all of the 5 million text messages. One person say happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to say it once back. I'm going to post it on Facebook and that's it. I do not want the 500 text messages. I appreciate that you guys do that for me, but it gives me anxiety. And so if you love me, just comment under my Facebook post when I post happy Thanksgiving. To have my phone ringing and binging and texting all day, sometimes it does not put me in a good mental health place. And I'm finally going to be honest about that. Like, don't do it, please. And so I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We love you, Tasha. We love Trent. We love Mr. Jones. And we are grateful to have had you as a guest tonight. Please share this video. Follow us on YouTube. This is the Connected Corner, where you get news and resources you can actually use. So use them. And meet us back next Tuesday, same time, right? 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your girl, Tori Rose. It's been real. Peace. Boop, boop, boop.